See, this is why these videos that brothers make and the elder apostles make are so good because it's putting us back in the right mindset that we need to be in, right? Now, this gentleman, he made a video. Is it time for the U.S. to pay reparations? Now, the sound of that is great. It sounds amazing. But the only thing that they're doing is appeasing you, so-called black people. Why? Because they know what they did is wrong. And they know that we're in the time of payback. How do we prove that? Let's get it. This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 41 and 7, and this is in the Apocrypha, right? It says, the children will complain of an ungodly father because they shall be reapproached for his sake. And that's the time that we're living in. We're living in a time of comeuppance. We're living in a time of payback. We're living in a time of judgment. And who's going to be holding the tab? The children of these men that did the wickedness. This is Job 20 and 10. His children shall seek to please the poor, and his hands shall restore their goods. So the question is, do we want reparations? That's the question. Let's go back to this man's video.
The United States, they find ways to give Israel $3.8 billion every year.
And the reason why they give Israel money is because that is their brother. They're giving money to their brother. It's like if you set up a company right now. Let's say you have a company right now and your brother has a company. Do you know what you guys do? Do you know how you launder money? That is basically money laundering. But how do you do it in a legal way? You donate money to whatever corporation or whatever company your brother has set up. Now, legally, America can give money to the Jewish state because the Jewish state is a welfare state, meaning that because they've quote unquote went through so much trauma, I'm not going to debate that right now. It just is what it is, right? Just like Africa, right? Africa can be deemed as a welfare state as well. Jamaica can be deemed as a welfare state, just like when a country, because these countries are just corporations, right? When a country goes through a great hurricane or a great natural disaster or a great war, what can you do? You can donate money. All that donated money is a write-off. That's all that it is. It's just a write-off. That's all that it is. They're just moving money from one company to another company. That is all they're doing. They are brothers. These are not countries. These are corporations. And all they're doing is money laundering. That's what they're doing in Ukraine right now. When you hear about Canada, America giving money to Ukraine, they're doing money laundering. That's all they're doing. They're moving money from one corporation to another corporation. These are all businesses. That's all this is, big businesses. And they're supporting each other as they should. These are all Caucasian corporations ran by bankers who are also Caucasian, biblical Edomites. They're giving money to one another as they should. Don't try to make us angry. And when I say us, I mean you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. Don't try to make us angry to be like, oh, why don't they just give us money? We don't want their money. Why would we want money when we're supposed to own the corporations, aka the countries? The countries are ours. Why would we want a payout when the whole country belongs to us? That's the difference between having a rulership class mentality and a slave class mentality. And the reason why we do these videos on who you truly are is so you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans can start having a rulership class mentality. You start having an owner's mentality and not an employee mentality. An employee is always waiting for a pay, right? The employer is the one that does the paying. So we're not looking to be paid out, especially not by our enemies. How could you pay us when everything that you own is ours?
And even another billion for Iron Dome. And Germany rightfully paid reparations to Jews and victims of the Holocaust, as they should. But when it comes to reparations to Native Americans, when it comes to all the treaties that have been violated, when it comes to reparations for slavery, where is the money? They suddenly don't have the money. And it's like, oh, we have to have a conversation. What fucking conversation?
Well, we don't want your quote unquote money because you don't have real money. What you guys have is fiat currency, and fiat currency is not real. That's why they're about to destroy the current financial system and implement a digital system. So even if we did get paid in fiat currency right now, let's say all black people got paid in fiat currency right now, what are you going to do with it when the economy collapses? What are you going to do with it when when hyperinflation starts and the money is no longer worth anything? What are you going to do when you have no power?
40 acres and a mule. It's right there in black and white, right? And that's, of course, the bare minimum, not even. And I just want to tell you one thing. In the United Kingdom, if I don't know if you guys...
And the reason why they can't give you your 40 acres and a mule, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, you Native Americans, the reason why you cannot get compensated, mainly you Negroes, the reason why you can't get compensated is because we took up a class system or a ladder system known as black and white, which was an invention in the 1600s in Virginia. I can't remember if it was 1680 or 1690. You brothers can look it up. But white and black is a class system that was invented. And what it did was take away legal rights from you so-called black people because you weren't black people. At that time, you were landowners. You owned a lot of land. You had a lot of wealth. You know where that wealth came from? A lot of that wealth came from you who were ruling in Europe. You know where a lot of that wealth and land came from? A lot of you were already here in this country. You were already living good off the land. You already owned everything. You owned a lot in this country. The majority of you so-called black people never came from Africa. That is a lie that was pushed. A lot of you were already here on the land and you were living good. You were living real good and you had farms. You had businesses, good businesses, and you did trade, good trade. You had cattle, lots of cattle. Okay? And then a lot of you so-called blacks, you came here from Europe, right? First of all, fleeing the slave rebellions, the serf rebellions, right? Because you were the landlords. And when the pneumonic and bubonic plague broke out, there was a lot of slave rebellions, and you fled from that land to come down to the Americas, and you came down to the Americas with riches, lots of riches. Where did you get those riches? You got those riches because you were kings, you were queens, you were dukes, you were duchesses, you were monarchs, right? You were people with titles. You came down to the Americas with titles. You were counts, you were countesses, you were barons, right? You were landlords. That's what you were. Okay? So for you to claim, what's it called? For you to claim 40 acres and a mule, well, you're going to have to prove your lineage. You're going to have to prove that you came here from Africa on cargo slave ships. And many of you blacks, you cannot prove that you came here on cargo slave ships. You know why? Because you never came here on cargo slave ships. Right? You know who else is going to get reparations from slavery? A lot of Irish, a lot of Scottish. They were slaves too. Right? The Iberians, though. Right? The Iberians who descended from the so-called black people that were ruling those lands. Okay? But a lot of you people you're not ready to deal with history. You're not ready to deal with your true history. Right? It's too easy for you to just say, yes, I'm a slave, I'm a slave, I'm a slave, and just wait for this Caucasian to give you crumbs off of your plate, off of your table, in your house. It's your house. It's your table. It's your plate. It's your food. And then you have another man feeding you. Wow. Wow. This is Isaiah 60:9. Surely the isles shall wait for me, and the ships of Tarshish first, to bring thy sons from far, their silver, their gold with them, unto the name of the Lord thy God, and to the Holy One of Israel, because he has glorified thee. So this is what we're going to get, Israel. This is our reparations. This is what I'm reading, our reparations, according to the Heavenly Father, not according to man. And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister. What's minister mean? The etymology, serve. Right? Because when you're a minister, you're a servant. You serve the king, right? And shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee. What slavery? Slavery was the Most High's wrath. We got smote, right? We got put down. We got humbled. That's what the word humbled means. Literally means to be on the ground. So when people tell you that they're humble, I'm humble. What do you mean you're humble? Especially a woman. When a woman tells you she's humble, how are you humble? You're not on the ground. You're not bowing to me. To be humbled means to literally be on the ground. Okay? So it says, I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee. And that mercy started through the blood of who the world ignorantly calls Jesus. His name is Yahushai. That's his name. Right? That's where the mercy first started, because he's coming back to deliver the elect. And that's the mercy upon Israel. And that's how we know the other nations, mainly you so-called Caucasians, right? You so-called white people who are the biblical Edomites. That's how we know your kingdom is going down. Okay? Therefore, thy gates shall be open continually. What is your gates? Your borders. Right? We're not going to have great walls upon our border. You know why? Because we're going to be so friggin' powerful that no one is going to ever dare to attack us. First of all, there won't be any more weapons for you people to attack us. And our people are going to have spiritual power. Okay? It says, therefore, thy gate shall be open continually. They shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles. What's the forces of the Gentiles? Reparations. That's reparations. So our gates are going to be open day and night, and these people are going to bring us the best of the best. They're going to bring us their best horses. They're going to bring us their best camels, their best cows, their best women, the best gold, the best silk. We're going to get the best of everything. And that their kings may be brought. What does that mean? Their kings may be brought. That means their kings are going to serve us and serve the Lord. So what the hell do we want reparations? And why do we want 40 acres and a mule when the world belongs to us? Right? It says, for the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall die. The word says perish. But what does perish mean? It means die. Yea, those nations shall be utterly wasted. This is 2nd Esdras, chapter 6 and 54, one of my favorite scriptures, if not my favorite scripture. I always bring it out, right? It says, and after these, Adam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures, of him come we all, and the people whom thou hast chosen. So does God have a chosen people? Yes, he does. Verse 55, all this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sakes. So why would we want reparations? Why would we only want 40 acres and a mule when the whole entire world was made for our sakes? See, that's the problem with you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. You're always selling yourself short. Always selling yourself short, man. Stop selling yourself short.
If you guys, how many of you, because I know most of you are American, but how many of you have been to England? You go to London and you go to the City of London. City of London is a district inside London, okay? It's a very special district because it's literally the center of evil, okay? It's Mordor. In the City of London, they have their own police force, which is separate from the rest of London, which is crazy, right? And you have all the banks that are in the City of London.
And what he's talking about is the city-state, right? That's how this world is ran. This is a very intricate world, and it's ran actually very intelligently. Now, what he's talking about in inner London, this world is ran off of finances, right? That's the financial epicenter, right? Then you have the military, which is in Washington, D.C., right? Which I've been there. I've seen it with my own eyes, right? And that place does have a certain type of spirit, right? Then you have the spiritual epicenter, which is the Vatican, which that's also a city-state. So you have 3 city-states. You have the Vatican, which represents the spirituality of this world, right? Which is the wickedness. You have the financial place, which is in inner London. And then you have the military, which is in Washington, D.C. And these 3 city-states are ran together, right?
So imagine Wall Street having its own police force outside the NYPD. It's basically it. And you have, so the financial center, you have St. Paul's Cathedral is very nice, fine. But you also have the Old Bailey where they commit crimes in there too, pretending to be, a court of law. You guys know what I'm talking about. And so they've concentrated all this power in this tiny district, and it has a special status. This goes back hundreds of years where it's exempt. It's got its own unique status. And the thing is that you go to see these banks, you have HSBC, There's Lloyd's, the Bank of England itself, all of these banks that have been there for hundreds of years. What's so special about them? They were in the slave trade. And when I say they were involved in the slave trade, I'm talking about the governors of these banks. You can pick any bank.
Why wouldn't they be in the slave trade? Slavery was a business, right? Human trafficking is a business. People are a business. What I don't see. The problem with this society is they want us to get emotional about some of the oldest professions on the planet. They want us to get emotional about prostitution. Prostitution is one of the oldest professions, if not the oldest, right? Slavery is a profession. People are resources. If you have rulership and you have an empire, you need people to build it up, or you need people to farm. That's what you slaves did. You farmed the land, right? In Jamaica, you farm sugarcane. Excuse me. In Southern America, you farmed cotton, right? You farm cotton. And it just is what it is. Like, I don't understand what the big deal is, right? When you so-called blacks were transported from the south to the north, the reason why you were transported from the south to the north, or why that war happened, right, against the red coats and the blue coats. The reason why that happened is because it was time for you to be emancipated, right? Meaning that you were supposed to go from one owner to another owner. That's it. You went from the southern owners to the northern owners. That's it, because they needed you to work where? In factories now. They never needed you on plantations anymore because plantations weren't going to make as much money as factories. Okay? Simple. Not a big deal. Just is what it is.
In the city of London, and you will find in their history at least one of their governors owning slaves, and in some cases they even gave money, they lent money, banks loan money to people in America to buy slaves. Like, how disgusting is that? But now you can't get a fucking mortgage for a house, right, without paying 10% or 8% out or 6%.
He's saying, how disgusting is that? Now, I don't know what his nationality is, or what kingdom his people ruled over, but I can guarantee you whatever kingdom your people ruled over, sir, they had slaves. And that was a business. It's just business. It's not personal. You people take these things too personal. It's just business. That's all that it is.
But if you want to buy slaves, they'll give you money. Like, it's just disgusting.
Of course, they'll give you money if you want to buy slaves, because slavery at that time was very profitable. Banks deal with profit. So whatever is profitable at that time is what they're going to invest in. Giving money to blacks is not profitable. It's not. Right? We can't even build up our neighborhoods. We don't even invest with each other. It's not profitable to give money to so-called black people. They're going to spend their money with the Chinese. Why would a bank want their money going to the Chinese to build up China? Banks want to know where their money is going and how it will be used and how they're going to get paid back. If they give money to so-called black people, when are they going to get paid back? They probably won't ever get paid back. And I know what everybody's saying. Oh, well, blacks are going to spend money in Gucci and they're going to spend money in this. And that money doesn't stay in the country. Though that money, the majority of the money that's made goes overseas. And the government never sees that money, never gets that money. The wealthiest people pay the least amount of taxes. and their money is held outside of the country. So that's what's going to happen if you give so-called black people money.
And here I haven't even gotten to the worst part. These banks paid reparations to the fucking slave owners because slavery was banned, right? So when slavery was banned, I think the French did it first, then England banned it, and then the French brought it back. Anyway, when Britain banned slavery, the slave owners were so upset because they were losing money that the United Kingdom, the British government, was paying them reparations till a few years ago.
Right, because they have to take care of their businessmen, right? Just like we did during COVID, right? For people that were affected negatively by COVID, the government had to pay them for lockdowns. They had to pay them for lockdowns. And what did you people find out? You found out that some of the richest people were getting paid during COVID. Why? Because COVID negatively affected their businesses. And you don't want that. Why? Because those people will take money out of the banks. Okay? See, this is for instance, and this is in Canada, because I'm in Canada. Toronto, Canada, be exact. Exclusive ski club receive 1.4 million in federal COVID relief amid record year, right? Financial documents show Georgian Peaks paid 13,000 of income tax while opening new $13 million lodge. See? So does it benefit the government? Does it benefit the banks? Yes, it does. They gave this ski club 1.4 million, but they're building a $13 million lodge. What does that create? That creates jobs and businesses. That creates jobs and businesses. So why wouldn't they get that money? That's how that works.
I was paying them reparations till a few years ago. When did they stop? 2015 or something? It's just a few years ago, literally. So the fucking slave owners get reparations, but not the slaves. I'm sorry,
They're not slave owners, they're businessmen. That's what they are. They're businessmen. They got into a business that they know is going to make money. That's all that it is. Right? Did they own slaves? Yes, they did. Do they own other things? Of course they do. They own assets. A slave was an asset at that time that could be traded. Right?
literally no justification, or there's no way you can reconcile this with country.
Yes, they can reconcile this. We just read how they're going to reconcile it. Right? Let's get it. Let's get another one how they're going to reconcile. This is Numbers 35 and 33. So ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood it defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that sheddeth it. Right? So what are we talking about here? We're talking about the murders. We're talking about the injustices that happen during the time of our captivity under you so-called white people. And you white people are going to have to pay for that. This is Revelation 13, verse 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity, and he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints, right? So we're just going to be here and we're going to patiently wait to be delivered by the Savior, who you people ignorantly call Jesus. His name is Yahushua. And we're just waiting patiently for the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, to give him the word to destroy the sinful kingdom. And we don't want your reparations. We don't want your money. We don't want your land. We don't want anything from you because this place has to be destroyed and cleansed first. We don't want nothing from you, right? We want our new bodies, which we're going to get when we're delivered out of this hellhole, Lord willing. I am a part of that, right? But you cannot stop the 144,000 of those elect men which will be delivered from this place. And you won't stop them from being beamed up. You won't stop them from receiving their new bodies, and you won't stop them from getting rulership. Okay? And with that, I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Double honors unto the elders and elder apostles of GMS that do rule well and that do teach well, and to the brothers on the four corners of the earth doing this work in truth and in sincerity. Shalom. Till next time. Kwam Yasharallah.